Yes. So Dr. Palash has graduated with MBBS from Bemsar, Odisha. Post that he has yes. Post that he has done MBA from IIM Ranchi. He is presently working as Senior Business Development Analyst, Healthcare Division at Cognizant. He is a certified CBT, that stands for Cognitive Behavioral Therapy practitioner, and has served as a resident doctor in Apollo. He is passionate about healthcare and has led many initiatives targeted towards creating awareness about mental health as part of the counseling cell IIM Ranchi. So I would welcome Dr. Palash and request him to take over.
Thank you so much, Divakar. That was quite a warm welcome. And I think we have 27 members present over here. And to all of you, a very, very good evening. Hope all of you are doing well. Hope you and your family, all of are very safe and healthy. And also that you guys are treating people and especially your own self with kindness. So in addition to what Divakar has already mentioned in the introduction, I would add a few more points which will be, quite relevant in the present context, so that we can lay the context better and we move on with the session. So guys, the thing is key, all of you are aware of the crisis that we are moving through. And so what happened is, in last 1 year or so, I have been able to contribute to this particular crisis in some way or other, in small bits and pieces. So I had joined a COVID hospital, for a very brief period of time last year. And after that, I have been actively engaged in providing teleconsultation, and also around the COVID scenario, I have been trying to provide therapeutic counseling, as I have been practicing this CBT thing for quite a period now. So I have been involved in all this stuff, and I have tried to observe things a bit closely. And all these things I am saying because I wanted to lay the context a bit better. So when I was approached for this particular session, it was kind of a dilemmatic situation for me, because I was not very sure how to go about it, and didn't know that what I might want to do so that I can do justice to the 1 hour or so you might be providing for this particular session. And also, I was not very sure at first what might be the expectations of you out of this particular session. So maybe we can start from there. Maybe we can start by laying some expectations that we need out of this particular session. And let me start with my expectation. My only expectation out of this session is, let's make it a two-way interactive session. That's all. My expectation is that's all. Because only few months back, we have been interacting to our professors in our classrooms, online classrooms. And I know, it can be very haunting when you are at the receiving hand and you ask people to maybe talk and share stuff a bit, and people don't speak up. So now I'm very scared that I am at the receiving end. I don't know how it might go. So that is the only expectation I have from all of you. So yeah, you might want to use the chat box. You might want to unmute yourself to speak up very frequently in this session. It's a very two-way interactive session, as I have already mentioned. So maybe we can start with laying the expectations. Please unmute yourself, or you might want to use the chat box, and you can please speak up and share what might be your expectations out of this session. Anyone? You might want to unmute or might want to share in the chat box.
It's just talking about yourself. So just go ahead. Don't be hesitant.
And despite being on the student side, what I have learned is, when you ask people to share or speak up, give them 2 to 3 minutes, because it takes time to break the ice. So it's fine. Maybe take a minute or so, but we might want you to share your expectations out of the session. Meanwhile, if Vivakar, you might help me with your expectation out of the session, because we haven't talked much about this particular session. So what do you think?
Yes, Palash. Yes, so
How do we go about it? Yeah.
yeah, basically, so on a daily basis, I would share my experiences in the last 15 to 20 days or so. So every day, let's say I have to get on with my daily work of, let's say, if I am involved in some professional work, and on a daily basis, this I hear this sad and depressing news every time, everywhere around, and it actually many a times it actually pressurizes me to think that how relevant is my professional journey in such a situation, or how to actually strike a balance between my mental health and my career at this point of time. So yes, that would be one of the major points that I would like to have a discussion about, that what should be my approach towards dealing with the scale of the disease or the pandemic that is going on. And amidst that situation, how can I basically control my sphere, or how can actually I am able to give my best towards my professional goals. So yeah, that would be the major point that I would like to highlight about. I think Kesri can also go ahead with some point.
Yeah, so it has been a quite similar journey to me as well. Even I started working in an organization, and it has been a routine there as well. Seniors are taking extra care to know about the all the people who are working in their groups, be it all across different groups as well. And in fact, we have a daily call on all the working days to know about the health of not only the employees but also the family members as well. And that is why we not only discuss about what is the current situation, but we also, if somebody is dealing with something important, we also try to help them as well. I think so this would certainly help as well.
Right, right. That makes sense. Thank you, Vivakar and Kesari. Quite summarizes the context of it and the expectations. It's quite understandable. And before moving into the discussion proper, of course, I would like to thank Phoenix Global for creating this platform for this many people to having this discussion, because of course, as MBA grade as the technical professionals, whatever you might call it, we believe in chain reaction, and we believe that we have the potential to become the social leaders. And when we know stuff, we can radiate and propagate stuff to, other people, and that is kind of a chain reaction that happens. So thank you so much, Phoenix Global, for creating this platform. And before moving on with the discussion, let me tell you a few things very honestly. Maybe I was approached by the team of Phoenix Global because there is certainly a perception that I might be knowing things a bit better around the science, around the pandemic or the virus situation, given the background of mine. And also because there have been few instances where we got to interact with the able team of Phoenix Global, where there was understanding that we kind of tend to evaluate things from a very psychological landscape, to address things from a very psychological landscape. And maybe that is why I am here, because certainly I'm not an expert, at least on this platform. I'm not an expert, not at all. And am I a mentor? Not quite there. I cannot call myself a mentor as of now. But yeah, certainly you guys can treat me as someone, a person who has gone through similar experiences around the crisis and maybe has seen things. I might differ with in terms of your experiences, and my experiences might differ quite a lot. But and also maybe you can treat me just as a moderator for this two-way interactive session, and that is how we go about it. And let me throw a very generic question. Now, the audience might be thinking that this guy has come and he has already bombarded two questions on us. and I'm trying to get this momentum going so that we have further conversations when the time progresses and there are important stuff to share with you people. So there is a very generic question I will throw on you, and I really want you guys to answer that. And I can wait for a few minutes if you want to formulate your answers maybe. But my question is, how you guys feel? How do you feel about the scenario nowadays? How do you feel within yourself? It might be the context of the COVID crisis. It might be the context of something else. Maybe Ms. Mamata Banerjee making government in West Bengal. It might be about the IPL going off for the indefinite period. But whatever it is, how do you guys feel in general about the given scenario? It can be a combination of feelings. It can be mixed feelings. It might be ocean of thought. It might be a very specific, straightforward thing, whatever it is. An uninhibited, expression of feelings.
So, Palash, should I go forward?
Yeah, I think Naman is there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
hi, Naman. Yeah, please go ahead.
I would describe the entire scenario in a one word, and I think probably it's more of an uncertainty that we are going through. Right. So what you were asking in the very first question, also the kind of expectation from this session is, so see, a lot of medical fraternity is also dealing with this scenario, which is pretty unique to them as well, right? They are also trying to find it out new ways how to handle the scenario. So in such scenario where it is very difficult to reach out to the hospitals, right? And where things for a common man, it's something which is very alien to them, right? So how do you, how somebody should situations where they are not aware of how things are to be treated, how the symptoms that they are facing, or how things which are coming up to them, that's something which is pretty unique to them. So how do we handle such an uncertainty? So that is something what I am feeling right now in the present context. And that is one of my expectations from the seminar as well.
Thank you, Naman. Thank you so much for that. And I would like someone else to also speak up, please. Or you might want to use the chat box. So
Yes,
guys, it's
you can
very
use chat
evident
box.
that, yeah, it's very evident that we can make the best out of the session if there is a two-way interaction, because as I have already told that I'm not a mentor or an expert who is speaking. We are sharing experiences here. Maybe I might want to go a bit scientific or psychological about stuff, maybe in the later part of the discussion, but that is how we lay the ground. So yeah, I encourage you people to, maybe you want to speak up about how do you feel. Very generic. I feel happy, I feel sad, I feel uncertain, I feel anxious, I feel really motivated that this is the time I need to get onto something. The world has never seen such a crisis, and this is the time I need to step up and do stuff. I might want to be a hero, or I'm just nothing, I'm worthless, I'm not being able to contribute in anything. Only the frontliners are doing stuff. We are just staying back at home. It's very, it's a sense of worthlessness, whatever it might be, whatever might be.
Yes, Rahul, you want to share something?
I just wanted to say that talking about myself itself, I'm blessed and lucky, to have a family by my side at this moment, who, since I live in a joint family itself, so I'm pretty much lucky that I have a family that I have with me. And also the fact that just seeing the current scenario and seeing the way the hospitals are treating, in no matter what, I would like to go to the hospital. That's what I am praying, in that sense that I don't want to get treated in a way, or at this moment I just want to be safe, and I want my family and the known person just to be safe, so that there is no issues with them, nor would they land up in a ICU bed or in a hospital itself, just in a positive way, so that everyone is safe and nobody contracts anymore. That's what my feeling is. And the bottom line will be, some way or the other, feeling that I'm a bit lucky that I have a family by my side who are quite supportive, and so that is the long and short of it.
Right, right.
I
Thank you
think
so much, Rahul, for that. Yeah, Priyank, yeah, please
So
go
I
ahead.
think government took it like very light when the year was starting. They took it very light and starting to do stuffs like election and everything. But they should be like more focused on people and everything, like how to like think about the more safety measures and everything. Like other countries are facing the COVID issue and everything. We are in a condition like we are cool if we talk about the terms when other countries are facing all this. But they should have been like more like about the safety and everything, sir. Also, sir, nowadays if people is like COVID positive, they don't even have place to like go to the hospital and everything. Like every bed is like full in all the hospitals and everything. Also, sir, right now we can only do like only like keep our family members to homes only and can't be able to go outside even if that something is important and everything.
Right, right. Thank you, Priyank. The point taken. And you can see people. I mean, there is a crisis, and there are, I mean, such different contexts and different thoughts coming across. There is uncertainty. There is a sense of feeling blessed and privileged around in name of the family, where people are protective about the family, people are critical about the government, etc. So, anyone else who wants to share? Just whatever comes to your mind, just genuine feelings. You don't have to be, you have to be very candid about it.
Maybe a majority of the audience here belong to the interns batch, and I think the major change that you would have experienced from an offline internship going to online, there might be own challenges. So this is a platform where you can actually speak and share about, and that will contribute to your learning and development. So please take it as an opportunity and speak up and share. Yeah. Yeah, Akash, you want to share something?
Sir, I want to share what's happening now. I'm from Tamil Nadu, so I'm going to share what is happening in Tamil Nadu during this election, 2000 MLA election 2021. So after 10 years, the party Dravida Munnetra DMK has been the MK Stalin became the chief minister of the Tamil Nadu, and he said many things to be fulfilled in his 5 years term. So we are waiting for what are the things has to be done by the chief minister in our Tamil Nadu, and also we are waiting for the what are the developments going to be happen in the Tamil Nadu instead of last ADMK period. So we are waiting for that, sir.
Right, right. Thank you, Akash. Thank you. I mean, such different contexts, such different thoughts. It's, I mean, sometimes it's suffering to see people suffering, and sometimes enlightening the way the human brain and the intelligence works to, I mean, evaluate a situation in different contexts. So thank you, Akash. So before I move on to the next phase of it, I would ask for maybe one last time if anyone else has anything to say, or maybe we can move on with it. I think Rajiva has switched on his camera. So it is it out of courtesy, or Rajiva, you really want to say something?
You're on mute.
Rajiva, you're trying to say anything, you are on mute.
Am I audible right now? Yeah.
Yeah, perfectly, yeah.
Okay. Very good evening to everybody. I'm Rajiv, and I'm a faculty for management studies. I came back from Europe before the pandemic and was into various activities. See, the crisis, yes, we agree that the pandemic is there. Okay. The point is, psychologically, people have gone down. Psychologically, the pandemic has affected, and it has affected in a very bad way. Psychologically, everybody is stressed because once your neighbor gets affected, once a family member gets affected, it is the entire family, it is the neighborhood, it is the town, it is the village, and it is the society in general which has gone down psychologically. Psychologically, they have to be brought up. That is very important. And I feel media has a lot of role to play on that point at this junction. And I request everybody to take care, because I have seen the initial stages of pandemic in Europe and how the crisis management has happened. One of the persons, while having this particular interaction, somebody pointed out how it took casual stage in the second wave. We should be aware logically motivated, be of positive perception, take basic care of whatever is being said, and try to not go with a lot of news channels, watch the same thing, because psychologically you get demotivated. That's what I feel. With this, I would thank everybody for giving me a chance, and we shall go forward. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Rajesh. I mean, that was quite helpful. So as we have a few context, few thoughts laid over here, maybe we'll move on to a brief story, a very brief story, and the story is mine. I mean, it's my story. And why am I using my own story in this particular platform? Maybe to lay some kind of relatability, so that you get some context. I'm pretty sure there will be an extent of the story which you people might be able to relate. There will be things you might not be able to relate. There might be things where you have an aggravated experiences of it, so it might vary. But just for the purpose of relatability, let me tell my story starting from the April of 2020, or you can say the third week of March in 2020. So basically, we were in our colleges, respective colleges, and I was preparing for the third trimester. And maybe, I mean, it's not right to say that I was preparing for stuff, but yeah, I had an examination and I had to take care of stuff. And that is exactly where the administration got a notice from the central government that we have to vacate the hostels as soon as possible. Our exams were postponed. There was a sigh of relief that, yeah, I mean, you know that you are anyway going to appear for the examination. But I mean, the procrastinator brains told that, yeah, it's a sigh of relief. And finally, we went back to our respective homes, and the whole thought in my mind was that it's going to be over very soon. Now, when I landed in the nearby airport, I mean, from where my home is at a distance of around maybe 1.5 hours. When I was driving home, it was the time when I called one of my friends who is a microbiologist in AIIMS Raipur. And I was very casual in the conversation. Maybe he was occupied. He called me back, and I asked him, "Ki situation kya hai? What is the situation? I mean, we are doing good, right? In our country, we are doing good, right? Because Corona was already declared a public health emergency, a pandemic around in the last week of Jan, I guess, in the 2020, and the first case hit around maybe Feb second week. So I asked this question, and the reply was that, brother, the virus is mutating. Yeah, it was the first time I heard this phrase that the coronavirus is mutating, and it was a year back. I mean, of course, there is a stress discussion around the mutation, what is going on right now, but it was the first thing when I called my microbiologist friend working over there, and they were like, they have been sending letters to the respective governments, and they've been trying to control the situation. But yeah, this is the situation. All the epidemiologists, all the microbiologists, all the pulmonary medicine specialists and the surgeons, everyone, I mean, everyone was really curious and anxious about the situation, starting from there. And that was the time when the common public hadn't actually struck the site of coronavirus in general or in such a large scale. Then, of course, I mean, I went on to join a COVID hospital in Bhubaneswar, and that day, I think I spent around 2.5 weeks over there. And that time, when I was treating in the hospital, there were hardly 10 to 20% of the cases who were corona positive. And even if there were patients, they used to showcase very mild to moderate symptoms. So, I mean, every time we discussed about stuff within our doctor community, it was like, yeah, it is a flu kind of thing, it will subside in few days. And then I got back. The routine for that time was like many internships of friends, fraternity people were being revoked. There was such a situation over there. And the routine was serving in the COVID hospital in the daytime or maybe in a night shift, and I mean, taking a bit rest and maybe resharing the post in the LinkedIn where people were asking for any opportunity wherever possible for an internship, for a summer internship, for a placements issue, final placements issue. We used to reshare posts, we used to comment for better reach, etc. And there was a communication from my company where I was selected for my internship that will be starting a bit late given the situation, but yeah, we'll be starting. So I was a bit relieved, and finally it happened when after maybe around last week of April, I got a news from my campus POC that my internship offer has been revoked given the pandemic situation. The company has communicated and it has been revoked. Now the thing, of course, it felt bad. It wasn't very shocking because the brain had already normalized with umpteenth number of posts over LinkedIn, etc. in WhatsApp groups. So the brain had normalized, but of course it felt bad. There were different opportunities. I applied for them and converted to, got into one summer internship and I got into one live project. Of course, there were many concerns, but yeah, there was good learning. I went on to do my internship, and also I used to provide teleconsultation for COVID patients, specifically for COVID patients during my evening hours. That is how I continued. Finally, after a bit period of time, the cases, I mean, started to reduce down. We got into our normal class schedules, online classes, online examinations. It was all different, I mean, experience and opportunity, you can say. And finally, the final placement happened. The cases were not rising, and to my irresponsibility, I went on to 2 to 3 trips also. And because the numbers were down, the restrictions were overlooked, and I went on to trips, etc. And that is when finally we were struck with the second wave. And fast forward, we are in the present day. Why I told this brief story? Because this story and this journey has enabled me to categorize and club the different variants of people's feelings across the country, from different states around this crisis, and which has helped me to help people in some way, and in the process help my own self. And of course, I believe in the fact that we cannot club emotions. You are free to have your own emotions. It can have its different variants. It can have its different intensity, expressions, etc. But maybe I have tried to club them so that we can address them in a better way. There is a possibility that you will be able to relate to some. There is a possibility that you might not be able to relate to some. There is a possibility that once the discussion is over, I might have missed out on few feelings, few issues where I urge you to mention in the Q&A session or the discussion session, whatever you might call it, and so that we can discuss upon that, whatever it is. Because we have to get started somewhere. That is why we will start. And let me be very frank about it, that what we'll be discussing today in this 2 interactive session, I have been mentioning this particular thing so that the momentum goes on. Whatever discussion we'll be having today won't be a very new thing to you. No, it won't be. In some way or other, you might have heard maybe about the solution part also, and maybe about the crisis and the anxiety part also. What I'm trying to do here is to try to level the discussion, because it's very important that we address the internal chattering that happens inside our brain or inside our soul, whatever you might call it. And it's very important that we level them, specifically in a situation where we do not have much control over most of the things. So that is how we want to go about it. If you have any specific question at this particular time, you might want to please ask in the chat box or by unmuting yourself. And if not, we can move on with the discussion. Do you have any question at this stage? Okay. So yeah, Bhivakar, will you be able to share your screen and maybe
Yes,
present
yes.
the PPT on slide 1?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
Is it visible?
Yeah, I just want someone from the audience to confirm whether it's visible or not.
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Okay, thank you, Jyoti. Okay, so guys, before starting, please in the discussion session or the Q&A session, please do not ask me ki, why have I kept this picture on my first slide, because even I have absolutely no idea. Maybe I kept it because it somehow looked cute, and maybe because I don't see, I mean, many smiling faces given the context. So maybe that was a starter. That is how I have thought. I put a thought behind this particular pic. So, but before we move on, I want to tell you something. So I want to show you something which I have written for all of you, and I want all of you to read that very carefully and be very particular about it in the whole of the discussion. Keep that particular line in your mind throughout the discussion, because it's very important for me and for you also. So here we go. This is what I have written for you. Next, please. Vivaka, next slide, please. Okay, so this is what I want everyone, each one of you, to keep in your mind and be very particular about it, that I make boring presentations and don't you dare judge me, Palash. And I'm very serious about this particular thing, because I was scared to hell when Vivakar asked me to prepare a PPT for it, because I have I mean, either I have never done it, or if I have done it, I have done it very bad. So this is what I make boring presentation. Don't you dare judge me, Palash. So now, as I have already mentioned, that I have tried to club and categorize emotions into specific brackets so that we can discuss on them further. Vivakar, I request you to please move on to the next slide. Are you being able to change the screen as it is?
There is some issue. So is it visible in this format?
Yeah, it is visible, but are you not being able to change the screen by pressing the next button?
Just a second, I'll try.
Yeah. Just take your time.
Okay. Okay, Palash, it's happening.
Great. Thank
Yeah.
you. So yeah, next slide, please. No, the previous one. Okay. Surge in COVID cases. 2 lakh केस हो गए हर दिन, 3 लाख केस हो गए, 4 लाख केस हो गए. There are 20 people who have come out to be positive in my vicinity. There have been 2 deaths yesterday, etc. depressing news on channels and social media. Patients have been losing lives due to lack of oxygen, due to lack of ICU beds, etc., due to inadequate paramedical supply, etc., etc., etc. The economy going down, the jobs being revoked, etc. And adding on to that, a catastrophizing brain predicting the worst outcomes of all. ये होने से वो होगा, if this happens, that will happen, and in every context, the brain catastrophizing to predict the worst outcome of the situation. Now, I would like to open the forum to maybe all of you people, so that you can share that how much you can relate to this thing, how much, I mean, in what intensity you relate to them, or if you have some different variant to similar kind of issue. You might want to use the chat box or unmute yourself and talk. I have very superficially broadlined all these things, but if anyone specific wants to talk such issues in greater details, ye ho raha hai, etc. These are the things going on in my mind around these 3 points. Is anyone there who wants to talk?
Palash, I think I would like to share my experiences regarding the third point, where knowingly or unknowingly our brain goes into the prediction mode of the worst outcomes. So if I talk about myself, I was in a pretty similar situation last year. So probably people who have already gone into an internship experience under these circumstances, they will probably like to predict that, okay, so because the situation is not good, chances of a PPO might be less, or there will be few companies who are visiting the campus for the finals. And actually that is, I think it's actually the worst time to do an MBA itself. So these are the kind of things that our brain ponders on knowingly or unknowingly. So yeah, that I can relate.
Right. Thank you, Vivakar, for sharing your experience around it. So yeah, when a similar kind of anxieties prevails across people, specifically for the professionals, for the student level, for the people who are students, they might be in the schools, colleges, professional colleges doing MBA, whatever it might be. So moving on to the next slide. No, just give me a minute, Vivakar. Okay, so as Vivakar has already tried to add on a few points to this particular issue, maybe I would like someone to try and speak up on the context that if you are having such issues, what kind of remedy or what kind of solution you have been trying? Is there a way you are trying to get out of this particular anxiety or situation? It might be failing also. You might be successful to an extent, you might be failing to a greater extent. That's fine. But are there any specific ways you guys are trying to come out of it? Because human brain is very intelligent. It finds its own way out of it, right? So are there ways you have been trying? I'm pretty sure, I mean, few of you might have few things to share regarding your ways of tackling this particular situation.
So trying to have happy time with the family and not going anywhere. Also, like learning new things. We have the opportunity to learn new things, because when everything was normal, we didn't have time to like explore like internet and everything. Now we have the time to do that, and like don't think about the news and stuff altogether, and only think about the positive things and new learnings and everything. So that way, so we can be like positive and as well as happy as we can get.
Right. Thank you, Brian. Thank you so much. It was quite helpful. Anyone else has anything to say?
Yes, sir. I totally agree with Priyank that these times some students are also doing that courses which they were not that was not able to do with their course means their semesters and all. So some of them are doing digital marketing or some type of internship in this time. So it is no doubt it is doing positive in our life, and we all are overcoming with this.
Right. It was Jyoti, I think.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, thank you, Jyoti. Thank you so much.
If we talk about the college and like professional life, sir, it's not happening very like in a good manner. But because whoever is doing MBA and everything, so they want to like have a physical experience and like pure experience, like the presentation skills and everything in front of the audience and everything. But nowadays we are just doing everything in front of laptop. So it's good, but not that like beneficial for one.
Yes, it's almost 1 year and we have not even visited
Yes, sir.
our colleges. So it's
It must be quite frustrating, right?
yes.
Yes, sir. And
Missing
sir,
out on
if
the
we-
learnings, missing out
Yes, sir.
on the funds. Of course,
Yes,
it is.
yes.
I mean,
All the
And-
industry
yes,
visits,
sir.
we are missing all these.
And so if we talk about the financial thing, then so people are giving like the same amount of money to like fees and everything, but the like knowledge and everything is not that up to the mark. Yes, sir.
makes sense. Makes sense.
Yes,
Okay, so thank you, Jyoti and Priyank. So guys, specifically for this club of anxiety, what my experiences understanding suggests is we need to take care in differentiating two vital aspects of the anxiety, and that is discussed in the next slide. Bivaka, can you please go to the next slide? Yeah. Staying informed versus getting obsessed. Now, is there a difference? Of course, there is a difference. But is that difference quite evident? I mean, radically evident? No, it's not. There might actually be a thin to thick line between these two particular things. While getting obsessed actually might seem like trying to stay informed, at the same time, staying informed might finally go overboard into getting obsessed. So, do we keep on checking whether we are staying informed and getting obsessed? It's not quite possible. But there are few things, of course, we can take care of them so that we can stay in one side of the line, that is, we can stay informed and not get obsessed about the situation. That is, given the point one, sticking to trustworthy sources is extremely important. And I'm combining this point with the second point, that is limiting the frequency of getting updates. See, we are in a situation, we are in a crisis situation where even the sources will be finding an opportunity to propagate their thing into our brains. I mean, there has been free suggestions, advice, information, some authentic information, some cooked information flowing, and the social media, internet, newspapers, etc., etc. So it's very important, specifically as a social leader who have the potential to impact others' mentality and others' informative behavior around your vicinity, around your locus of control, that we stick to the trustworthy sources. And I'm pretty sure that you are aware of, I'm not going to take names, but there will be, I'm pretty sure that there are few things, few sources which you are aware of are quite trustworthy, and combining that point to limiting the frequency of getting updates. That means we need to start sticking to one specific time where we are involving ourselves into getting updates. Why getting updates is important? Of course, because we need to stay informed regarding the new policies, information, and if there are specific things we need to take care of, if there have been lockdowns, if there have been vaccination drives going on around us, etc., etc. So what I particularly do is, I mean, it's just an example I'm giving. What I do is, I keep the time to be 6:30 to 7. So whatever decisions might have been taken in the daytime, an update of the same comes around 6:30 or 7. So if you are taking a time of slot of 6:30 to 7, you get updated about the recent happenings, whatever has happened on that particular day. And then you switch on the source, even if it's a trustworthy source, and you move on. Third point is staying away from sources like media if you get overburdened. You might have chosen places to get your information or get your news from, but you also need to understand that we have this tendency of getting overwhelmed or overburdened with information overload, and that is where you need to start pointing out the pattern and you have to start using that particular media, you might want to, talk to a friend who might give you some authentic information regarding that. And if social media is overburdening you, you might just want to stay away from it. Now there will be a question key: how can we stay away from social media, which will be taken afterwards? Because I know that is not a very easy thing to do. Specifically in our context. Fourth, being careful about sharing stuff. Now, as I have already mentioned twice, that we are social leaders. We can create chain reactions. We have this potential of literally impacting people's informative behavior and people's mindset around the COVID crisis, around career crisis, around economic crisis, whatever it might be. So it's very important that we take the moral responsibility and the technical responsibility to understand and stay informed about the right information. And even if we are sharing the right stuff, because it's very liquid and very easy to get overwhelmed and start sharing stuff only to get rid of the fear of missing out. That if groups are being bombarded with information, one information should be from my side, and that is how we get the fear of missing out reduced within myself. But if not done properly, that can impact us and in the process others also. So it's very important that we take care of sharing stuff, being careful about sharing stuff. Now we'll move on to the next club of things. If you have any specific question right here, you can please ask. Otherwise, we'll move on to the next slide. Okay, if you do not have any question, we might want to address this particular situation, which is quite prevalent, and I have seen this particular thing specifically in the people whom I have been trying to give therapeutic counseling, and it has occurred to me also. The first point being spiraling in what if. Human brain. If you take the words of Alan Watts, he tells that human beings suffer from their own intelligence. We have been given the blessing, privilege of imagination and memory, both the past and the future, which of course can be used to create miracles. From memories we can take learnings, from imagination we can create miracles, but at the same time, the human being suffer from their own intelligence because the memories and the assumptions around future create a loop of what if. What if it happens like that? This thing happened, then what if that thing happened? And finally catastrophizing to the worst of the outcomes out of a given scenario. Second, dwelling upon uncertainties around health, career, etc. Pretty much possible, right? Given the situation we are in, given the kind of news we have been receiving, it's pretty much possible that we keep dwelling upon uncertainties around health. What might happen to me, or what might happen to my family, my close friends, my girlfriend, my boyfriend, etc., etc. What might happen to my career? I have invested so much into it. I've invested money, time, etc., everything into it. I had fought for this career. I have worked hard for this career. What if everything is doomed, etc., etc., etc. And the third point being constantly worrying about when the pandemic would end, what will happen in our respective communities, etc. So finally, when we are dwelling upon the uncertainties around health, we are spiraling in what if, the brain starts predicting or starts asking an answer to the question ki yaar ye khatam kab hoga, when the pandemic will be over, when will be the situation get better? If the situation doesn't get better, what might happen to our respective communities, our localities, our families, etc. It needs to end somewhere. When will it end? And finally, we end up getting absolutely no conclusion out of it. We get nothing out of it. So here, before moving on to the next slide, I would ask you guys if you have any similar kind of experience, or you can relate to this, or if you have specific points to add to these 3 points, because these are very vital and very prevalent. I'm pretty sure that many of you might be experiencing such things. So maybe anyone of you might want to add something to it, or share your feelings around these 3 points.
Yes, Palash, actually. So I'm not that of known knowledge person in psychology, but from what I understand is the human mind generally tries to complete what it doesn't know. Like if I give a 90% of a figure and 10% is hidden, the human brain tries to automatically complete it. Like by the scenarios, as you have mentioned on this slide, what ifs. So, and in this current scenario, if I ask any general person that what are your predictions that what will be the situation, say 1 month or 2 months down the line, we in general do not have much idea. As even Naman had said initially that there's a lot of uncertainty. So even if we try to, as you had mentioned in the previous slide, restrict from the news and do not go for much more updates and go for the trusted sources, but still that uncertainty is there inside you, which even though if you are safe and sound in your home, it still haunts you a bit. That, as you have mentioned, what ifs. So how do we deal with such situation?
Right, Keshav, thank you so much for your concern. And of course, let me be very frank. If dealing with such things would have been so easy, then we wouldn't be doing this particular discussion. We wouldn't be having this particular session. But of course, there can be, base rules. There can be ground rules we can work upon, and it has worked for many people to a very great extent. And that is what has been described in the next slide. Divakar, can you please move on to the next slide? Locus of control. I'm not sure whether you guys have come across this particular concept or this particular picture, whatever it is. But I have recently realized that locus of control, understanding the locus of control and locus of personal influence is an extremely, extremely important and vital part to keep yourself sane. To keep yourself sane and in the process keeping other people sane, the people around you. So what exactly is this locus of control? Locus of control is very visibly understanding what will be the zone of circle of concern, the things which we do not have a control on to a very large extent, and a circle of control where we actually have a control on, again to a very large extent. Now I totally understand that there can be gray zones. The things are not very black and white. There might be gray zones around this locus of control, but it's very important that at least we get a awareness around it. If you can see in this pic itself, there is a circle of concern that is, you might want to limit your time spent on things which you cannot control. It might be the COVID statistics, the politics, the news, others' behavior around it, the way people treat you, lack of infrastructure, vaccine availability, oxygen, etc., government policy, economy, social media feeds, etc., etc., etc. Think again, do we actually have a control over it? Maybe to a very, very small extent. You might say, yeah, we have a influence over the government, that we have an influence over the government, but to what extent and what kind of mass or influence is needed in a very short period of time so that you can actually will be able to make an influence? That is also a thought of concern. Now coming to the circle of control where you actually might want to focus, that is, again, you know all these things: eating healthy, limiting news or social media uses, physical and breathing exercises, not socializing or going on a vacation. I'm guilty of it. Mindfulness, meditation, gratitude or positive thinking, taking all precautions and helping others. Maybe this is the zone where we have a control on. And is it so easy that we just understood that this is our circle of control and this is our circle of concern and we might start working over it? No, it's not that easy. But there is a thing called the labeling effect. When you keep reiterating things, when you might want to keep this thing on your wallpaper, you might want to look at this particular thing on a daily basis, you want a specific friend of yours or spouse of yours or a partner of yours to make sure that you keep on being reminded on this particular thing on a daily basis, things start working. You have to believe in it that things start working, and understanding your locus of control is an extremely vital aspect, specifically to break down the spiral of what if. And this particular situation is extremely, extremely relevant, specifically in the cases of career. the placements being revoked, the jobs being revoked, etc., etc. So in a situation of career crisis, understanding the locus of control is of utmost importance. Now, see, the pandemic will get over someday. I don't know when, but it will get over someday. Even if it doesn't, there will definitely be a change of dynamics of the job, the kind of jobs that might come up, the kind of skills requirement that might come up in the future in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 6 years in the 6 years down the lane. It might be a post-pandemic situation or around a pandemic situation, whatever it might be. But you need to understand that there are experts, there are people who have a very good prediction. You might to join their sessions, you might to talk to them, you might to read about their opinions, predictions, etc. So to at least get an idea around the situation, yeah, this things can be predicted in future. Second point is setting goals. Once you try to understand that what might be the jobs that might come up, what might be the skill requirements that might come up, you might to align your own aspiration to finally set future goals, objectives. I know that sounds very easy and working on it is very crazy, but this is how we get on to do things. And if you look at the third point, which I mentioned, that working on the requirements, once you align your goals and objectives to your aspirations and the future needs, you need to start working on the requirements of it. It might be a course that you might want to take up. It might be an internship that might enhance your experience. It might be a mentorship you might to take from somewhere, whatever it might be. It might be a skill, it might be a working experience that might enhance the requirement, whatever it might be. You need to start working on the requirement. And the last point, but the most important point, I haven't done this, so it won't happen. I'm not being able to do this, so it won't happen. We maybe need to start come out of that particular zone and need to understand that we have to start from where we are. We have to do whatever we have as our resources, and we have to do whatever we can do in our capacity. There is no other alternative. We need to get this very straight, and we need to start working on this particular mantra. Then we have to start from wherever we are. We have to start with whatever we have as resources, and we have to start doing whatever we can in our human capacity, and repeat. That is how you build a structure. That is maybe how we build a career and down the crisis. You might be an aspirant, MBA aspirant, you might be an MBA grad, you might be an engineer, doctor, paramedic, other profession, whatever you might be. You have to look beyond the crisis, that what might be the opportunities that might come up, align yourself, and have to start with whatever resources we have. And you never know where we might get in few years of time with this awareness. And we never know if only this awareness and working and aligning things according to the awareness might actually create a difference in few years of time. And that is how we need to keep things simpler. It's a paradox. I don't exactly remember what was the name of the paradox, but the paradox suggests that more complicated and more complex the issue is, most of the time, if you work on the inhibition, the solution is actually simpler. Because in the most complex situations, in most complicated situations where you don't have much control over stuff, you lose out of options. What options do we have? The only options we have is being aware, aligning ourselves, and working with whatever resources we have. That is all we can do, and that is what we must do. And that is how we go on with our career aspects, specifically in the given crisis. If you have any specific question, if you have any specific point to add here, I have a question to ask, you might, or we can move on to the next slide, please. Can you, Bivasa, please stay in the previous slide and give the audience a minute, maybe, if you want to add something to it. Does it make sense? Or you have any specific point to add, or you might want to contradict to it? You can please go ahead. Okay, So maybe we can next move on to the next club of things which I have tried to do. Yeah. So human beings, so much Homo sapiens, right? We are emotional beings. We have a frontal lobe, we have our rational decision making, we have our emotional part, and we are emotional creature. There are hardly any species more emotional than us, given the context. So now what the pandemic has brought in is missing out on a hardwired human connection, given the need of social distancing and etc. And also a loop of anxieties around different relationships, eventually harming them in particular. If you see, there have been people who have complained me that they have spent the entire schooling and their college days outside in a hostel, etc., and they have finally come to their houses and have been staying there for months, for years now. And now the situation has arisen where there have been differences, there have been conflicts, there have been small quarrels, etc., and that is how there have been a creation of loop of anxieties around different relationships. It might be with your partner, it might be with your parents, might be with your siblings, cousins, etc., friends, whatever it might be, and which eventually actually creating a loop and eventually is actually harming them. And also, as I have already mentioned, that missing out on hardwired human connection, given the need of social distancing, because there are many people who who connect very well with their families. There are people who connect with their friends better. So it is entirely possible that despite the fact that you might be in your home, you might not be able to get that hardwired human connection given the social distancing situation. So any one of you might want to relate to it or add any few points to it, or we might want to go to the next slide. Okay, so Vivaka, maybe we can move on to the next slide. This is what a placard in Italy during the situation of lockdown of theirs written. We are standing far apart now, so we can embrace each other later. This line has a meaning of its own. It says that we are standing far apart now, so we can embrace each other later. It talks about hope. It talks about working on human connection presently with whatever resources we have. I have jotted down few points. If you see, you might want to have a dedicated time for staying connected over a chat or text, video calling for face-to-face interaction. Let me combine these two particular things. I have mentioned a dedicated time. Why I have mentioned so? So when you are losing your human connection, and if you are dedicating a specific time slot for staying connected with people, maybe over a call, chat, or text, whatever it might be, it creates a pattern in your brain. It creates a pattern in your brain, and it actually helps in filling up the void that might be that might have created because of the lack of the human connection. And video calling or face-to-face interaction, believe me, the statistic says that it reduces down your stress, by around 17 times more effectively than a normal call, chat, or text. And maybe the reason behind it is very evident, that when you have a face-to-face interaction, the human bond, the emotional connect is quite better, but despite the fact that it might be a virtual thing, but it is there. Third point, conscious effort was not talking about the virus in all the conversations, because it's very easy to go with the flow, discussing कि कितने cases आए, what might be the situation around people, घर पे क्या हो रहा है, बाहर क्या हो रहा है, etc., etc.
Palash, can you hear us?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello.
Particular zone.
Some problem.
You have to make sure.
Palash, I think there is some lag. Maybe you want to
Okay, I'm
reconnect?
back. I'm back.
Yeah, okay, cool.
I don't know. I mean, it just got disconnected. I mean, I don't know. Maybe because I was talking about the virtual mode. I mean, maybe the Zoom has its own idea to let me know that guy. Even I have my limitations, so it's fine. Yeah. So I was talking about balancing out the news and overburdening anxiety from the social media feeds. I have already mentioned about that. You need to draw a line where you need to stop using the resources, stop investing much time into it, because it eventually gets ourselves into overburdening. And you know, I mean, this loop of overburdening is very ironical. You actually tend to get into it because you want to get into it, and finally you realize that you don't want to get into it, but you still keep on going into it. And that is exactly why it creates an addictive behavior. That is why the consciousness, awareness, and external help might actually kick in and help you a bit. Last point, being careful about who we are turning to for a conversation or support. Everyone has positive and negative energy inside them. Every human being has. Every human being. You might term a person very negative, but he or she might have positive energy, at least in a contextual basis. But if you are very aware that, or specifically in this context, there are people who have been not helping much with the conversations because of the negativity around, or the sense of or the flow of negativity in the conversation, every word or phrase they might be using it, you have to be very, very careful while you are turning to a conversation with such people, specifically because of the understanding that negativity is really, really infectious. It's contagious. You might be the most positive person on the earth, but if you're turning to people who have the contextual negativity, I won't say negativity, I would say contextual negativity around the conversation, you might feel dejected about the conversation. So you have to be very careful about it. Yeah, so maybe if you have any specific points to add to here, to the scientific solution part, otherwise maybe we can move on to the next important segment. Do you have anything to add to it? Anyone?
Palash, so when you were talking about, trying to balance out the news of the, and, try to balance out between how we can stay away from the anxiety. But when as an individual, you try to do it subconsciously, you try to make sure that you stay away from that negative energy. But at back of your mind, it still plays a vital, it still plays a role, right? So obviously it has an impact on the person whom you're talking to, but as an individual, you are being affected still, right? So what I personally believe is, when you are trying to make an effort, obviously you're trying to make the other person whom you are speaking with a little better, but it has to, that trying, when you're trying to make away from that anxiety, it has to be played from both the sides, because obviously you are making the other person comfortable about it, but it is actually hampering you when you're trying to subconsciously making it, trying to put yourself away from the anxiety. So that's something which I feel.
Perfectly put, Naman. I mean, it's always a two-way thing. I mean, when you are having a conversation, when your objective is actually fulfilling or comforting the other person, and maybe in some process or the other, you yourself are taking the anxiety around it, you have to be very particular about it, and you have to be very careful about it. It's great that you mentioned this particular thing. Thank you so much. And Vivaka, maybe we can move on to the next slide. Yeah. Now, this is something which has been very broadly mentioned. It can have intricate detailing of it, but yeah, losing the sight of healthy habits very easily pertaining to both physical and mental health. See, we were in, I mean, you can say a different kind of world where we used to do stuff. We used to go to hostels, colleges, offices. We used to meet friends. We used to play in the playground, etc., etc. The life went on, right? We used to go to gym, maybe we used to go to the malls, etc. Given your personal context, personal preferences, basically we kept ourselves out there to a good extent. And even if we were introverts and we preferred indoors, at least we had our share of experiences around the different places around the city or different regions, etc. But now we are at home. Now we have been moved into a situation where we have to adapt to a new normal. So it's very, very easy to lose the sight of healthy habits pertaining to both physical and mental health, because now we have to create a schedule of our own and we have to be very disciplined about it, and we do not have any idea how to go about it. So it's very easy to lose the sight of it, and that is where the solution comes in. If if anyone can relate, if you want to say anything, or maybe Vivakar, you can move on to the next slide, because I really want to leave some time for the Q&A session. Yeah, these points are very basic. You will say that yes, these are very known things, but these are known things. These are simple things. The only problem is these are the only things maybe. I have mentioned that being kind towards self and taking out time for activities which gives happiness. When I mentioned that taking out time for activities which give happiness, it might be anything. It might be a yoga, it might be painting, it might be singing, dancing, just name it. It can have a list of endless things which you can actually do for your unique experience of happiness. But if you are not being able to motivate yourself to do it, you have, as I have already mentioned, you have to start taking external help. At least start somewhere. If you are being able to dedicate 30 to 45 minutes for the activities which gave you happiness on a daily basis, now you are not being able to do so, start giving 5 minutes for it, 10 minutes for it. So what happens? Your subconscious brain will be reminded of the kind of happiness you are deriving out of it, because you have a very specific connect with that particular activity, which the brain has lost the part of the connect of the memory, because given the crisis situation, you have to start connecting to that particular memory again by giving out maybe 5 to 10 minutes of it. And now your brain starts to evaluate things better, and it kinds of get into a zone where it understands that, yeah, these things are working, and maybe this is the thing which I need to work on. This is the thing which I need to maybe invest 30 minutes or 1 hour of my daily time into it. So that is how your brain gets adapted. You have to start somewhere. You have to get yourself reminded on a daily basis. Exercising, practicing mindfulness, maintaining a disciplined routine by creating reward systems, etc. See, this is a very scientific thing. When you exercise, you secrete endorphin. When you practice mindfulness, you secrete serotonin. Both of these, both of the neurotransmitters, both of the hormones, they are, I'm not very sure whether if I'm using jargon, but let me simplify this for you. The endorphin, which I mentioned, which secretes while you exercise, is a stress buster. The serotonin, which secretes when you practice mindfulness, is a mood stabilizer. And maintaining a disciplined routine by creating a reward system balances out your dopamine, which is your reward hormone, and your serotonin, which is a mood stabilizer. So what happens is you get into a zone of being stress busted by your endorphin, go into a mind frame of stabilized mind by the mindfulness, by serotonin, and finally by repeating a disciplined routine on a daily basis, you create a reward system for yourself where you want to stay in that zone of relief and lack of stress, and you want to move on with the other aspects of your life while you are fixing up the things which give you happiness or which release your stress. So it's a very scientific thing when your mom or your father comes to you and say that exercise, practice some mindfulness or meditation. Why are you not disciplined? Why are you taking your bath at 2 p.m. someday and 3 p.m. someday, 11 a.m. someday? You have to get into that zone, because this is how you maintain the discipline. Avoiding self-medication, getting out in nature. It's very important that in the chaos we are in right now, it's pretty easy to get influenced by people, WhatsApp forwards, etc. The posts that have been given in the Facebook, Instagrams, and start self-medicating for symptoms. Do not do that. you might end up harming yourself more rather than actually helping yourself out. Do not get into self-medication. Always consult a physician. If you have, I'm pretty sure there have been many resources out there where they're providing the number for teleconsultations and etc. If you do not have a number, Vivakar can always give you my contact. You can connect to me, but do not get into self-medication. Getting out in nature, of course, you don't want to go into a park or something. Getting out in nature can be as simple as going to a garden or a terrace. It can be as simple as that. Most of the times, getting out in nature, people think that you're talking about getting into a park, riding a bicycle across the bridges, or going to a river bar, whatever it is, but not like that. Given the social distancing situation, just going to your terrace, going to your garden and doing stuff can also actually help you much with the stress. Next slide, please. You are welcome. Now, this is a escalation matrix that has been prepared for you guys. This is pertaining to your mental health. Now, of course, the name of this matrix is Vivakar. We have time, right? I'll just maybe take 5 to 7 minutes more. You are on mute, but I presume you are saying that we have time. Yeah.
Yeah, you may.
So yeah. So despite the fact that I have mentioned the name as a matrix, escalation matrix, it's not required that you go in this particular order only. You might want to go, even if you want to skip a few of the steps, that is also fine. Just for a clarity's sake, I have prepared it as a matrix. So first, recognizing if you are having issues of anxieties, apprehensions, you have been dealing with stuff for a long period of time. It might not be around just COVID. It might be around anything. It might be around COVID, career, relationships, whatever it might be. There are plethora of things which might, make you feel low about it. So you have to recognize that it's a problem that can be helped and tackled. And it's absolutely okay to not be okay. And make sure that we don't suffer in silence. It doesn't help anyone. Trust me, it doesn't help anyone. Second point is finding the root cause, if possible. I have very purposefully used this particular phrase, if possible. Try to find out the factors that might be bothering you, the triggers that might be bothering you. Consider talking to someone you trust who knows you, if you feel like. Why I have mentioned the phrase, if possible, that even if you might fail to find the root cause, even if the origin is unknown, trust me, it would be fine. The third point will be identify coping mechanisms. It's great to try some coping mechanisms unique to yourself, which might make you feel better. The list is endless. I have already discussed with pursuing a hobby, positive self-talk, medicine, it might be going out in nature, etc. What might be the coping mechanism? It might be unique to yourself, but you might want to try to get a clarity on that. Next point, very important, reach out. If nothing seems to help, or even if you just need to talk, share, etc., without trying to do all these things, reach out. Reach out, reach out, reach out. Remember that it's absolutely okay to seek help. You are a human being. Everyone needs it at some point or the other. Next important point, who can you reach out to? You already have the answer. The list of people you can reach out to, and not limited to, includes friends, families, maybe a team in your company dedicated exclusively for the cause. Most of the companies nowadays have a dedicated team for such particular causes. Maybe it can be anyone you trust. It might be a blood related relation. It might not be a dedicated body. Anyone you can trust. And finally, about the professional help, if the situation doesn't improve, or even if you want to skip all the previous steps, all the 5 previous steps, reach out to the professionals. Trust me, there are brilliant professionals with brilliant professional experience, understanding and learning out there to help you and understand to the issue of yours from both psychological and molecular level. You might be thinking that there might be issue which needs to be tackled in the psychological level only. I might want to self-regulate myself, but what if there might be an issue at the molecular level, which might need some kind of therapy, some kind of treatment. And that is exactly why the professional help comes in. So do not stretch out, do not burn out. Remember this escalation matrix. Skip steps, whatever you need to do, but do it for your own sake. Next slide, please, Vivaka. I have kept this particular point to the last because it has impacted me the most. This is my story. And I'm pretty sure this is many people's story. Given the situation, given the crisis, because of our experiences of trying to do stuff around community, around a group of friends, in colleges, etc., there is a prevalent sense of powerlessness, helplessness, worthlessness, in a sense that, I mean, am I even being able to do anything useful, contribute anything useful to the given context? Am I being able to contribute anything at all? So there is a prevalent sense of powerlessness, helplessness, and worthlessness. And coming to the next slide, this is where my solution comes in. I'm not sure about yours, and this is purely and purely my solution to it. Be kind always. Be kind always in terms of the understanding that you might want to reach out to others in need. Staying within your human limitations, staying within your human, human boundaries, within your boundary of influence, whatever you might call it. But you might want to reach out to the other people who are in need. It might be as simple as that, volunteering to help, even if it might be in virtual mode, maybe donating to food banks, blood banks, etc. Whatever might be. There cannot be a major scale for kindness, right? Kindness can be as simple as offering a calming conversation, a safe place to people to express themselves. It can be as simple as that. It can be as simple as passing on a beautiful smile to a person who evidently looks in distress. Kindness doesn't have a scale, but trust me, being kind is also being selfish. Why I'm saying so? By being kind, you actually end up feeling good about yourself, debarring few exceptional cases where you might have few expectations from few people and things might not have turned out the same way. That is a different case. But yeah, it always helps in creating a sense of worth, sense of power in terms human power, a power of kindness. And also it can be as simple as helping to spread awareness and vital information around the crisis. It might be as simple as spreading a post where there was a job vacancy, internship vacancy, and you know that one of your friend, a very able friend, has been this post has been revoked. You might want to help him or her by sharing those things. It can be any simple. But by practicing kindness, we always end up feeling better about myself. And that is how at least I tackle the sense of worthlessness or powerlessness. So this is the whole scenario I wanted to talk about. And before I end, I would like to say or maybe ask something, that there are many posts where people are trying to create hope. The summary of the post is that there would be sunshine. The crisis will be over and there will be sunshine. True, the crisis will be over, fingers crossed. But my question is, next slide please, Vivaka. What is true? Whether the sunshine is coming soon or there always was a sunshine, even amidst the crisis. Maybe it's us who need to see a bit closely to understand that maybe the sunshine was always there. Maybe it's us who need to start looking at the sunshine, pressing it and getting benefited out of it. So that will be all from my side, guys. Thank you so much for the opportunity, and I am opening this forum so that you might want to ask or discuss something. given the context which we were discussing, you might want to use the chat box, you might want to unmute yourself. But yeah, that will be all from my presentation side. Yeah. Anyone wants to
Yeah,
say?
thank you, Palash. So actually for elaborating it to such great detail. So I had one inquisitive question looking at from career perspective, the present situation and the experiences that we have already been through. So suppose if I am a recruiter of a company and I am considering this batch of 2022 for let's say final placements. So I have these two viewpoints, a pros and a con, and my mind is or my brain is juggling between the two. So I just wanted a viewpoint from an honest viewpoint from your side. So one of the pros that my mind says or the brain says that okay, this batch has been through the toughest times of a pandemic that no other batch has gone through, and so I presume that the kind of qualities of resilience or the kind of qualities of flexibility that this batch would have developed would be to a greater extent. And that's why this batch is special, and I should actually go out and hire as much as of the best talent possible. That is one viewpoint. The cons that that my mind thinks upon is that okay, this batch is the batch which actually never went to college. They were stuck in an online mode where there was a deterioration in the ethical and moral standards, where people actually did not put their videos on. People actually resort to cheating in the exams, even in the best of the B schools that happened, due to which the academic quality has degraded a lot. And that's why the quality will never be as compared to the batches before. And in these two, let's say the debate that goes on between the pros and the cons, I'm not able to decide. So can you just share your viewpoint on these two aspects?
Right. So thank you for asking this particular question, Vivaka. So I have two vital points to make here. Okay. As a recruiter, I might want not to take either of the point granted. The pros being here, this batch has gone through such kind of hard crisis. There was a pandemic. This is the worst crisis in human history, etc., etc. So there should be an evident resilience towards it. I won't take that particular point to be granted. And at the same time, I know that that person has actually been forced or moved into an online platform where there was evidently few things which are not in his control or her control. So even the moral ground wala the thing which you mentioned, I won't take that particular thing also in for granted. Second point is, I will maybe try to restructure my process of selection in a way that I test both of these things. Because what I understand is, because of the online platforms, because of the crisis situation, there might be some evident deficit in the skill wala part, the skill part, which can be developed over a period of time. Because even you know that most of the skills which might acquire in the MBA, to a very extent, to many of the skills go obsolete in few years of time. There is a constant update, of course. There are few things which are fixed, but there is a majority of the skill sets which needs to be updated in few years of time, and that thing can be developed. So maybe I want to restructure my selection process so that I can accommodate an understanding whether the person is actually resilient and has the person actually learned out of that crisis, and the person hasn't taken the crisis for granted, and also despite the situation where the person could have gone any extent to be immoral in terms of cheating or doing anything, whether he can actually stick to the moral grounds, moral principles of my company or not. And I'm pretty sure there are things, there are stuff, you will know this better. There have been processes out there which can test these things, maybe not to the 100% efficacy, but yeah, there are things. So I think that will be my approach towards it.
Thank you, Dr. Palash. That actually helps.
Yeah. So I think that's all.
Yes. So I guess there are no more questions. So on behalf of Phoenix Global, I again thank you for giving your time and such great effort in actually sharing various aspects about crisis career and beyond. So, and we look forward to actually applying those, for example, the locus of control, or say the escalation matrix in our present lives, and hope to make most out of it. So thank you very much, Palash.
Sure, sure. And Bivakar, I have a request from my side. If possible, you might want to share my mail ID or a WhatsApp phone contact number with maybe the attendance. So in case I can be of any small help, I'll be delighted. So
Thank you.
yeah, that
Thank
is
you
a
so
request
much.
from my side. Yeah.
That is for sure. Thank you so much. And thank you everyone for attending. We may leave. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you so much, guys. I'll take your leave. Thank you so much for attending.
Thank you, sir.